At first glance, the portraits present a striking paradox. Modern accessories like baseball caps, wristwatches, and down vests adorn subjects whose faces seem etched by the passage of centuries. These images evoke the sepia-toned nostalgia of historical photographs, yet they are contemporary creations. Artists Will Wilson and Callie Spitzer employ the archaic medium of tintype photography to explore and redefine Native American identity in the modern world. Their work transcends mere visual representation, is a powerful commentary on the resilience, complexity, and individuality of Indigenous peoples today. Although utilizing a 19th-century photographic process, Wilson and Spitzer's art is profoundly modern in its intent and impact. They challenge long-standing stereotypes and offer new narratives that honor the lived experiences of Native Americans. Through collaborative processes, multimedia integration, and a focus on personal storytelling, they reclaim the medium that once contributed to misconceptions about Indigenous cultures. This essay delves into the historical context of tintype photography, the transformative work of Wilson and Spitzer, and the broader implications of their art in reshaping cultural identity and collective memory. Tintype photography, also known as ferrotype, emerged in the 1850s and became immensely popular due to its affordability and durability. The process involves creating a direct positive on a thin sheet of metal coated with a photographic emulsion. Tintypes were commonly used to capture portraits during the Civil War era and played a significant role in documenting various aspects of 19th-century life, including the lives of Indigenous peoples. However, the use of tintype and other photographic mediums by white photographers often perpetuated harmful stereotypes and reinforced colonial narratives. Photographers like Edward S. Curtis embarked on ambitious projects to document Native American tribes, but their work frequently romanticized and objectified their subjects. Curtis's monumental 20-volume work, *The North American Indian*, produced between 1907 and 1930, is a prime example. While his photographs are artistically significant and provide a visual record of numerous tribes, they often presented Indigenous people as relics of a bygone era, detached from the modern world and frozen in time. Curtis's images, though respectful in their portrayal, lacked acknowledgement of the evolving realities of Native American life. They contributed to a static and monolithic perception of Indigenous cultures, ignoring the diversity and dynamism inherent within them. For many viewers, these photographs became the definitive representation of Native Americans, overshadowing the voices and stories of the people themselves. The late 20th and early 21st centuries witnessed a growing movement among Indigenous artists to reclaim their narratives and challenge prevailing stereotypes. Photography became a powerful medium for this endeavor, offering a way to visually articulate personal and collective identities. Indigenous photographers began to use the camera not just as a tool for documentation but as an instrument of empowerment and self-expression. These artists faced numerous challenges, including limited access to resources, cultural barriers, and the pervasive influence of historical misrepresentations. Despite these obstacles, they forged paths that integrated traditional cultural elements with contemporary artistic practices. Their work opened dialogues about identity, resilience, and the complexities of navigating a world that often marginalizes Indigenous perspectives. Will Wilson, a Diné Navajo artist of Welsh and Irish descent, stands at the forefront of this movement. His project, the Critical Indigenous Photographic Exchange, CIPX, is a direct response to the legacy of photographers like Curtis. Wilson seeks to replace outdated ethnographic representations with images that reflect the lived realities of Native Americans today. Wilson's approach is inherently collaborative. He invites Indigenous artists, tribal leaders, and community members to participate actively in their portrait sessions. This collaboration extends beyond mere subject-photographer interactions. It involves dialogue, mutual respect, and shared creative control. By doing so, Wilson dismantles the hierarchical dynamics that often characterize photographic practices. In his sessions, Wilson encourages participants to bring personal items that hold significance to them. These objects become integral to the portraits, symbolizing aspects of their identities, stories, and experiences. From a cherished violin to a well-worn book, these items offer glimpses into the subjects' lives, aspirations, and connections to both their heritage and the contemporary world. Wilson is acutely aware of the historical weight of his medium. He states, "I am impatient with the way that American culture remains enamored of one particular moment in a photographic exchange between Euro-American and Aboriginal American societies." His work is a deliberate effort to disrupt the static images of the past and replace them with dynamic representations that honor the individuality and agency of indigenous peoples. By utilizing the tintype process, Wilson creates a visual link to the past while simultaneously asserting a modern narrative. The juxtaposition of antique technique and contemporary subject matter challenges viewers to reconsider their perceptions of time, history, and cultural continuity. His portraits are not mere imitations of historical photographs. They are reimaginings that infuse the medium with new life and purpose. To further engage audiences and amplify the voices of his subjects, Wilson incorporates technology into his work. Some of his portraits become talking tintypes through the use of augmented reality applications. Viewers can scan the images with smartphones or tablets, activating video recordings where the subjects share their thoughts, stories, and reflections. This integration of multimedia transforms the viewing experience. It bridges the gap between the static image and the dynamic reality of the subject's life. By allowing subjects to speak directly to the audience, Wilson emphasizes their agency and counters the historical silencing of indigenous voices in art and media. Callie Spitzer, whose father is Kashkadina and mother is Jewish, brings a unique perspective to her work. Raised in the Yukon Territory in British Columbia, Canada, Spitzer's photography delves into themes of identity, resilience, and the intersectionality of race, gender, and sexuality within indigenous communities. Spitzer's series, An Exploration of Resilience, focuses on individuals from her own community, including those who are indigenous, mixed heritage, LGBTQ+, non-binary, and transgender. Historically, these groups have been marginalized or entirely omitted from representations of Native Americans. Spitzer's work challenges this erasure by placing them at the center of her artistic narrative. Her portraits are intimate and evocative. Subjects are depicted in various states of dress, pose, and expression, often engaging directly with the camera. Some cover their faces, while others expose vulnerability through nudity or tender interactions, such as nursing a child. These choices are collaborative, allowing subjects to control how they are represented and to convey their personal stories authentically. Spitzer views her photography as a means of empowerment. She states, "Every photograph, every person has a story to tell, and I am supporting them to tell these stories through their portrait and voice recordings." By facilitating a space where subjects can define themselves, Spitzer counters the historical objectification and misrepresentation of indigenous peoples. In her exhibitions, Spitzer often includes voice recordings alongside the images. This multimedia approach deepens the connection between the subject and the viewer, providing context and personal narratives that enrich the visual experience. It underscores the importance of listening as an act of respect and understanding. Through her work, Spitzer confronts preconceived notions about indigenous identity, particularly regarding gender and sexuality. By highlighting the diversity within her community, she dismantles monolithic perceptions and showcases the multifaceted nature of indigenous experiences. Her portraits celebrate individuality while acknowledging shared histories of resilience and perseverance. The work of Wilson and Spitzer exemplifies how photography can be a powerful tool for cultural reclamation. By taking control of their own narratives, Indigenous artists challenge the legacy of misrepresentation and create new dialogues about identity, history, and contemporary life. By employing the tintype process, both artists engage in a dialogue with history. They appropriate a medium once used to perpetuate stereotypes and use it to tell stories of empowerment and authenticity. This recontextualization prompts viewers to reconsider the historical role of photography in shaping perceptions of Indigenous peoples. The antique aesthetic of tintypes evokes a sense of timelessness, yet the modern elements within the images, contemporary clothing, personal artifacts, direct gazes, anchor them firmly in the present. This tension invites reflection on how the past informs the present and how cultural narratives are constructed and deconstructed over time. The integration of audio and video elements transforms the photographs into immersive experiences. By allowing subjects to speak in their own words, Wilson and Spitzer break the silence imposed by historical representations. This multimedia approach acknowledges the importance of voice in asserting identity and fosters a more nuanced understanding of the subjects' lives. Challenging and educating viewers, the art of Wilson and Spitzer serves not only as a platform for self-expression but also as a means to educate and challenge viewers. By presenting Indigenous peoples as complex, modern individuals, they confront stereotypes and encourage audiences to question their assumptions. This engagement is crucial in promoting cultural understanding and respect. The work of these artists extends beyond individual portraits. It contributes to a broader movement of Indigenous self-representation in art and media. By controlling their own narratives, Indigenous artists play a pivotal role in reshaping cultural identity and collective memory. The theme of resilience is central to both Wilson and Spitzer's work. Their portraits attest to the enduring strength of Indigenous communities in the face of historical and ongoing challenges. By highlighting personal stories of perseverance, they honor the past while looking toward the future. Through their art, these photographers participate in the revitalization of Indigenous cultures. They draw upon traditional practices and contemporary experiences to create works that are both rooted in heritage and relevant to modern life. This synthesis fosters a dynamic cultural identity that resists static or outdated representations. By asserting control over their representation, Wilson and Spitzer pave the way for future Indigenous artists. Their success demonstrates the power of art as a means of advocacy and the importance of diverse voices in shaping societal narratives. They inspire others to explore their creativity and to use art as a platform for change. Bridging past and present through art, in reclaiming the medium of tintype photography, will Wilson and Callie Spitzer bridge the past and present, offering new perspectives on Indigenous identity. Their work challenges historical misrepresentations and invites viewers to engage with Indigenous peoples as contemporary, multifaceted individuals. I want to show the general public who we are today, to bring light to our stories and create a safe space for us to be seen and heard as we define ourselves and make it clear how we want to be represented, says Spitzer. This sentiment encapsulates the transformative power of their art. By fostering connections between subjects and viewers, incorporating multimedia elements, and emphasizing collaboration, Wilson and Spitzer's portraits transcend traditional photography. They become living narratives that honor the complexity of Indigenous experiences. Their work is a testament to the potential of art to affect change, challenge perceptions, and promote understanding. In a world where images hold immense power, the ability to control one's representation is a profound act of empowerment. Through their lenses, Wilson and Spitzer contribute to a more inclusive and authentic portrayal of Indigenous peoples. enriching the cultural tapestry and fostering a deeper appreciation for the diversity and resilience of Native communities. Expanding the dialogue, the role of art in cultural identity. The significance of Wilson and Spitzer's work extends into broader discussions about the role of art in shaping and reflecting cultural identity. Their approach underscores the importance of who is behind the camera and how that influences the narratives being told. Artistic agency and ownership. Historically, the portrayal of indigenous peoples has often been controlled by outsiders, leading to misrepresentation and cultural appropriation. By taking ownership of the artistic process, indigenous photographers like Wilson and Spitzer assert their agency. This shift is crucial in ensuring that representations are accurate, respectful, and aligned with the community's values. Challenging colonial narratives. The reclamation of artistic mediums is a form of resistance against colonial narratives that have long dominated media and art. By reimagining traditional techniques, indigenous artists challenge the status quo and offer alternative perspectives that highlight the richness and diversity of their cultures. Creating inclusive spaces. Wilson and Spitzer's collaborative processes create inclusive spaces where subjects feel safe and empowered to express themselves. This approach contrasts sharply with historical practices where subjects had little control over how they were depicted. Inclusive artistic spaces foster trust and authenticity, resulting in more genuine and impactful works. The intersection of technology and tradition. The integration of modern technology with traditional photographic methods in Wilson and Spitzer's work highlights the dynamic nature of indigenous cultures. Augmented reality and accessibility. Wilson's use of augmented reality to create talking tintypes exemplifies how technology can enhance traditional art forms. This fusion makes the art more accessible and engaging, particularly for younger audiences accustomed to digital interactivity. It also expands the reach of the subjects' voices, allowing their stories to resonate with a global audience. Preserving and sharing stories. The incorporation of audio recordings in Spitzer's exhibition serves as a digital archive of personal histories. Technology becomes a tool for preserving and sharing stories that might otherwise be confined to small communities. This preservation is vital for maintaining cultural knowledge and passing it on to future generations. Implications for cultural understanding and social change. The impact of Wilson and Spitzer's work extends beyond the art world, influencing cultural understanding and contributing to social change. Their art serves as an educational resource, providing insights into indigenous experiences that are often absent from mainstream narratives. Exhibitions and publications of their work can be integrated into educational curricula, promoting diversity and inclusivity in learning environments. Promoting empathy and connection. By presenting subjects as relatable individuals with unique stories, the artists foster empathy and human connection. This personal approach breaks down barriers and challenges prejudices, encouraging viewers to reflect on their own perceptions and biases. Advocacy and representation. Their work supports broader efforts for indigenous rights and representation. By raising awareness of contemporary indigenous issues and celebrating cultural resilience, Wilson and Spitzer contribute to advocacy movements seeking equity and justice for indigenous communities. Future directions and legacy. The pioneering efforts of artists like Wilson and Spitzer set a precedent for future generations of indigenous creatives. Inspiring new artists. Their success and visibility inspire emerging indigenous artists to pursue their creative visions. By demonstrating the viability of art as a means of expression and livelihood, they encourage others to share their stories and perspectives. Expanding artistic mediums. The innovative blending of traditional and modern techniques opens doors for experimentation across various artistic mediums. Future artists may explore new ways to integrate technology, performance, and other forms of expression to continue the dialogue about indigenous identity. Building networks and communities. Wilson and Spitzer's collaborative approaches highlight the importance of community in artistic endeavors. Building networks among Indigenous artists can lead to greater support, resource sharing, and collective impact on cultural representation. Final reflections. Art as a catalyst for change. The journey of reclaiming Indigenous identity through art is ongoing and multifaceted. Will Wilson and Callie Spitzer exemplify how artists can be catalysts for change, using their talents to challenge narratives, empower communities, and inspire new ways of seeing. Their work reminds us that art is not just a reflection of society but a force that can shape it. By giving voice to the voiceless and visibility to the unseen, they contribute to a more just and inclusive world. In appreciating their portraits, we are invited to look beyond the surface, to listen to the stories, and to recognize the shared humanity that connects us all. It is through this recognition that meaningful understanding and reconciliation can occur. As we consider the impact of their art, we are encouraged to support and engage with Indigenous artists and communities. By doing so, we honor their contributions, learn from their experiences, and participate in the collective journey toward a more equitable and compassionate society.